Judge Kimberly Priest Johnson in on this. Unique perspective on all of this. As a former federal judge from Texas, she's overseen trials of January 6 defendants, including Stuart Rhodes, who's the founder of the Oath Keepers. Welcome, Judge Johnson. Just follow up on what Brian was saying at the end of his report in terms of reaction from others. What was your reaction when you heard how far the president had decided to go here?
You know, I think we all were expecting that he would pardon many of the January 6 defendants, but we expected those to be limited to the nonviolent defendants. So it was pretty broad sweeping. And I think it was, frankly, a shock, which I think was President Trump's intention, in that he included in that pardon and computation of sentences violent offenders as well as those who had been convicted of seditious conspiracy. Yeah,
Stuart Rhodes was on that list, right, on the seditious conspiracy conviction. And I want to go back to your writings and comments on that in the case. This is from U.S. v. Stuart Rhodes, where you say defendants' the authoritative role in the conspiracy, access to substantial weaponry, and ability to finance any future insurrection, combined with his continued advocacy for violence against the federal government, gives rise to a credible threat that the defendant's release might endanger others by fostering the planning execution of additional violent events. So we're at that point now, endangering others.
Right. And now there is a difference between those sentences that are pardoned and those that are computed. So those that are pardoned, those defendants will receive their civil rights back. So they will have gun ownership, ability to vote, etc. Those who just have their sentences commuted do not retain those rights. But based on evidence that was presented at a detention hearing for Mr. Rhodes, which spanned 2 full days, the court did find that he posed a danger to society, and therefore the government's motion to detain was granted, and he was detained pending his trial.
Now, in the New York Times, to that point, it's a good point on the distinction between the two, although, as we mentioned earlier, there were a number of violent offenders that were completely pardoned, people who, attacked police officers and the like. New York Times talking about Stuart Rhodes being denied bail says that Ms. Adams told the judge Mr. Rhodes often brandished weapons in their home to control her behavior, and he physically abused their 6 children, quote, under the guise of participating in martial arts practice. This is the type of guy that even you're commuting a sentence, you're saying he might not have as much opportunity to do harm, but still could be potentially a dangerous situation, no?
Ms. Adams was interesting in that she was the ex-wife of Mr. Rhodes, and she actually requested that she be heard at the hearing. She was not initially presented by the prosecution. She requested that she be heard to express her fear of Mr. Rhodes, as well as fear on the part of her children because of past violent behaviors that Mr. Rhodes had shown in their household.
Now, before I let you go, and, we appreciate all your comments on this, given your experience on the issue specifically. Can I ask you one question about immigration and federal law there, these executive orders that we're seeing there, particularly on birthright citizenship and how it's protected in the Constitution? President seems to have a different reading, and, is making this argument that maybe the 14th Amendment does not protect the right of citizens who are born here to become citizens. Is there any kind of an alternative reading that, and this is a look at the argument, that might be open here? I mean, how do you see this?
I don't think there's another reading. And frankly, I think the expectation of President Trump and his administration is that this would be challenged. I think this was a play to his base. I don't think there's any expectation that this would be upheld. I think, frankly, there's a hearing going on right now in D.C. court based on the ACLU's lawsuit challenging and requesting an injunction, which I expect we'll see based on the constitutionality of this executive order.
Yeah, they were very quick to file a suit, to your point, which was probably expected on both sides, right? Judge Johnson, thank you for coming on today. We appreciate it very much. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.